All right, guys, so we have our new key terms on the Enlightenment and the American Revolution. Our first key term is absolutism, and I want you to see the picture that I drew. So here, if we zoom in, absolutism, there's one person at the podium speaking over a group of people that he's in charge of, because absolutism's definition says the principle of complete and unrestricted government power that was usually in the hands of one person, like a dictator. So thus my picture is kind of like a dictator speaking to the people of the country. All right, number 2 is divine right of kings. And you can see my picture is a cross, and the arrows go to the crown, because the definition for divine right of kings says the idea that the power of the king was given by the authority of God, and that they could not be held accountable by an earthly authority like a governing body, like Parliament. So that means that the power of the king was given by God because they were born into that position. So clearly God must have chosen them to be king. Okay. The American Revolution. So I drew a cannon and a cannonball flying out of it. This was a war fought between Great Britain and the American colonies for independence from 1775 to 1783. Then we have King George III, and notice I've drawn him a very nice wig with the British flag and a crown. And number 4 says the absolute monarch of Great Britain during the American Revolution was King George III. Okay, and then we have Jean-Jacques Rousseau. I drew a scroll for him because the definition says that he was a French philosopher who believed that government should be based on a contract between the people and the ruler, and the actions of the people should be based on the common good rather than one person. So ideally that you're going to behave the way you should behave based on what's better for everybody rather than doing what's best for only for you. Okay, then we have John Locke. Now, John Locke's picture is a little complicated, but essentially we have a man who's thinking about 3 things that every person should have, and then we have 3 men throwing a king off a cliff. Because in our definition, he is a philosopher who stated that government should protect the natural rights of the people, which are life, liberty, and property, and that people have the right to overthrow an unjust government. So life, liberty, and property would be the head is life, property is the house, and liberty is freedom. So I drew a bird. I don't know if that's the best picture to draw, but that's what I wanted to show. And then the 3 of these, they have the right to overthrow an unjust government by throwing the king off the cliff. Overthrow. Okay, so then we have Charles de Montesquieu. Charles de Montesquieu was a French philosopher who developed the idea of the 3 branches, to have each of these branches share equal power and include a concept of checks and balances, which is something that we currently use in the United States government, because we have the 3 branches of the judicial branch, which is like the court system, the executive branch, which is the president and the vice president and the cabinet, and then the legislative branch, which is like our Congress. But we also have checks and balances to make sure that no one branch has more power than the other. They all support the tree. All right, Voltaire. Okay, here we have Voltaire, and he is speaking through a megaphone about religion. Okay, because Voltaire was a philosopher whose real name was Francois-Marie Arouet. He spoke on the ideas of religious freedom and the freedom of speech, okay, which are ideas that we took on in our U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. Okay, autonomy is number 9, and so this is really hard to read, but it's the 13 colonies, and I just kind of drew like a long cylinder shape, and then here's water in between, and this is supposed to be Great Britain, and its autonomy is all about how we want to self-govern. We want to rule ourselves, and the 13 colonies felt that they were so far away from Great Britain that they shouldn't be under the rule of the king, so that's why I was trying to show distance in my picture. And then the last one is the Enlightenment, which is the time period that we're looking at. It was a philosophical, cultural, and intellectual movement of the 17th and 18th centuries that stressed reason, logic, and freedom of thought, which led to ideas that impacted the creation of new government and changes in social classes. So we have new ideas, okay, and he's got his like powdered wig on. That's why his hair looks like that. So hopefully you understand all of my doodles and you have highlighted and drawn pictures that are similar or that help you remember the words. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that Charles de Montesquieu, he has 3 branches, so if you take your fingers and you make like a 3 and you turn it upside down, it makes an M, so you'll always remember that Montesquieu has the 3 branches. I hope that helps you, and we will talk more about these in class.